Welcome back to Unhinged and Unranked. I'm Eighth. I am too poor to afford Redbreast Irish whiskey. Speaking of whiskey, if you give Slash some of that, a pack of cards, and a gallon of gasoline, he can show you how to overthrow a third world country. Also joining us is Ross. He might get you to arch your back, but he might get you to install Arch Linux. Today, we will be talking about gambling in video games. From multiple angles, from loot boxes and sports games in the West to the rise of gacha games in the East, and why thick lives save lives. So starting off, what are some of the precursors we can think of that are like the earliest examples of stuff that would have led into gambling? Maybe not the legal term of gambling, because it usually isn't the legal term of gambling because you're not getting something back out of it. But in video games, what are RNG mechanics that maybe set the stage for the genres we have now?
You know, a little bit before PC gaming, probably arcades, actually. Because arcades kind of drove the idea that just keep putting money in and you can keep playing. So that kind of gave the first kind of early examples of you don't need to buy the game. People will keep paying for it.
That's true. That's true. That was a lot earlier than I was thinking.
You have stuff like claw machines and things in arcades too, which aren't technically RNG, but might as well be because they're physics.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have like the ticket machines, like the stuff where you try and hit it as it goes around, or like all kinds of arcade stuff that you find in there that, you know, you get some kind of prize for, but is either RNG or very physics based to the point of it might as well be RNG.
True. I wasn't even thinking about things like that. I was like trying to think about video games that did that, and the earliest thing that I could think of were the games that like were on Facebook where you had to like replenish your energy and you could buy like other in-game currencies. That's what I was thinking about, but that's much, much later than what you guys are talking about.
Oh, definitely. That's similar idea though, right? You run out of money, you put in another quarter to play. You run out of money on your Facebook social media game, like put in some more quarters, you can get some more energy.
I wonder what do you think was the first game that came out where like pretty much every game now comes out with these bullshit fucking boxes that have skins in them for the weapons or like different outfits for your characters? Like what was the first one that you guys can remember for like actual like AAA games?
I know what my answer is, and it's probably the actual answer, which is Team Fortress 2. As much as we love Valve, they might have set us on this dark future, because Team Fortress 2 had like the cosmetic crates. And I remember those. I was researching this, obviously, for like timelines, but I was playing TF2 way back in the day, and that was in 2010. That was September 2010. That was when it was a still buy-to-play game. Like, it wasn't free-to-play yet. They went free-to-play in 2011, so next year. And then a few years after that, you had the Counter-Strike crates. Like, there is a differentiation in that at least most of the stuff, maybe everything that comes out of those is tradable. So, like, you could just buy them from another player, which is different from a lot of the stuff we have now where you can't trade. And most games probably don't really have an infrastructure for that. But I feel like those were the first time I can think of a loot box being a big thing. In Eastern games, there were things earlier that were like that. Like as far back as 2004. This probably isn't the actual first one, but the first one that was big was MapleStory. Had an actual gachapon system that you used real money for. It wasn't like the main point of the game, it was a special event, but you used real money to buy gachapon pulls, which that's where the term gacha comes from, is from like those toy capsule machines that go all the way back to the 60s in Japan. I mean, we have them in America too. You've got like the toy capsule machines here, but I don't think they're as culturally significant here as they probably are in Japan.
You mean those little like plastic capsules that had like a tattoo that you could put onto your skin, or like a little ring that you could wear or something, like some bullshit little toy in there?
That was more the American adaptation. I didn't see more of the like the origins in Japan. They did have more like kind of Bakugan or like Pokemon type things. Is more of you don't know what you're gonna get. Maybe you'll get a rare one, maybe you'll get another one. It didn't tend to commonly be just like a stick of bubble gum or like a little ring kind of thing. It was more randomized within a certain genre.
Had a lot more like rarity and more of a collectability mechanic to it, whereas here it's like throwaway toys.
Yeah, collectors is what I think of for early gotchas. Is kind of gotta catch them all before Pokemon started being a thing.
So how about, I was thinking about this, and this doesn't get mentioned alongside gachas and mobile games and stuff like that a lot, but CCGs, like collectible card games, Magic is RNG. Again, you can buy the stuff from other people. There's a whole secondhand market for it, so that skirts some of the RNG by just direct pay to win. But like card games are pretty much that. There you pay for RNG, especially the digital versions like Hearthstone or Magic Arena and stuff like that.
Yeah. And the ones that have like player to player markets, they're taking a cut of the sale price, right? So even if they're eliminating the RNG, the company is still taking like 20% of whatever the sale is. And that's how the Counter-Strike market is with those weapon skins. So I actually didn't realize that was like one of the earlier markets, but that and TF2 must have been, they were the precursor, like well, I don't know if I want to say precursor, but they were the ones that were basically the pilgrims into that industry. Like they were the first ones that did it big and did it right. And then everyone started following suit.
Popularization.
Because now I feel like every time a game comes out now there is some kind of money component to the game after the fact. Even if you've spent $50-$60 on the game, there's always some kind of in-game thing, and it's not a small shop either. It's not always like 2 or 3 items. It's usually like a plethora of items and like up to like a certain amount, like hundreds of dollars at least, maybe even up to $1,000 of like starting shit that you can buy from that store to either like help you kind of with progression, or like it could be just fashion shit like weapon skins or like outfits or whatever the hell the game is about. Like it might be just like an aesthetic thing, but there's catch up mechanics there. Like I guess now I'm going into something else, but like there's different types of things that you buy, right? They're marketing skins, they're marketing like catch up mechanic things that help you like with achievements or like help you with the game. Then there's like pay to win aspect.
Battle pass levels.
Yeah, that too. Like that goes to the catch up mechanic, I guess, but I don't know. It seems like in every game you can kind of feel it. Like if you're paying attention for it, I guess. Like if you're not really paying attention, I guess you don't really see it, but like you can kind of gauge that these games are all doing like the same shit. Like they're like Guild Wars, it only does catch up mechanics and fashion. But there are games that like I used to play a mobile game called, I think it was called Braveheart. And that was like kind of the same thing like that. Blue, what was the one game that you were talking about earlier?
Grand Blue Fantasy.
Grand Blue, yeah. It's like the same game, but it's different. I think it's like a mix of Final Fantasy characters mixed with some other game. And in that game, you could buy the meta character. Like, and if you had that meta character, you were going to win most of your fights. You were going to progress through the story. You were going to, in the PvP battle mode, you were going to win more. And they control the meta, right? The game devs, they know what's going to be good. So they already automatically know, like, we're going to have this character be good for like a month and a half, and then we're going to force a meta change and we're going to force everyone to want this other character, and then you're going to have to pay more money to get that one.
Did you buy them directly or was it RNG?
You could buy them directly, but it was more expensive if you did it that way. And then they had the normal, which has now become like the popular thing of like doing the pulls, like in Arc Knights, where you have to keep pulling, and then like after like if you do 50 pulls and you still don't have the character, they give you the main one that everyone wants. That's the current meta.
The banner system. I was just looking this up. It's a 2010. It's actually developed by Gaijin Entertainment, by the War Thunder studio, War Thunder company.
Wait, does War Thunder have? Is that a gacha game?
It's not a gacha, but it does have a lot of stuff to buy.
That's the playing game, right?
Yeah, it's like aircraft, tanks, and naval. So you have vehicles you buy and upgrades and stuff. Then there's the cosmetics. That one's more like pay to progress than necessarily. I mean, there might be RNG in it, but like it's a very grindy game. You have a lot of progression, and then the different tiers that kind of more or less represent different eras. It's like you have, World War II stuff and Cold War stuff, and then modern era stuff is like the high tier stuff you progress into. But yeah, that was Gaijin.
Counter-Strike did do a lot in that space. As you were saying, they weren't exactly the first to market, but they were pretty big in terms of loot boxes. I remember in just as recent as PUBG, Battle Royale shooter, they had a gacha mechanic in there as well. They had some microtransaction currency that you could purchase, and you could buy an in-game loot box, and they are tradable for whatever you get out of that loot box for on the Steam store, so you could trade it for real-world money as well.
Yeah, so that was exactly the Counter-Strike kind of system, or TF2 system then.
Yeah, and that starts to raise other legal concerns, because not only is it now you're not only gambling in that virtual world with that real money, but also possibly turning it back into real money out the other end.
Don't Starve had that, but I don't think you could pay for the cosmetics in that. It just came from playtime. But Don't Starve Together had stuff that was worth real money on Steam. Like I got a skin that was worth $10 one time from playing the game. You get them as drops every once in a while. It's like, wow, this game just covered the cost of itself. Yeah, this covered the cost of the game right here. That's great.
Yeah, can't complain about that.
I didn't realize this went back this far, but EA with the EA Sports, like FIFA, goes back to 2009. Now it's called something different, I think, because of
what do you buy in FIFA?
You get like card packs with, I think it's the players, right? I think you get the actual players. That is basically a collectible card system, or essentially gacha, but it's presented as like, a card, like trading cards. So you roll for the cards, and then that like gives you the actual players. Added?
Do you get the player to use them on your team, or is it just like a collectible in the game?
You get them to use.
Oh, okay.
It's pay to win. But that's a big money maker. That's a ton of EA's money. And they've had the loot boxes in like Battlefield and stuff. They used to have the what were they called? Battle packs. Like Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1 had battle packs. I called them butter packs. You would just earn them in game, but like as you leveled up, you'd either get bronze, or at least for Battlefield 4, you get bronze ones and silver, and then if you're, I think, rank 100 or higher, you'd get gold battle packs. Battlefield 1 had them where they were mostly cosmetics. You also got like XP boosters out of them, which were actually fairly useful. And I think some attachments, maybe. It wasn't anything game changing, but like they were there. They gave you cool skins and stuff, knives or whatever. Battlefield 1 had it too. In that case, it gave you, I think, just skins. But it was exciting getting a butter pack.
Yeah, I bet. Especially like early on when they were less dialed in. Like they didn't know what to give out in these like monetized items, so they could imbalance the game probably pretty easily if they weren't paying attention to what they were doing.
I've actually played a couple gachas. Tinker's Island, that's a kind of mobile one. You could do it on like the Facebook type social media version as well. They actually went through a bit of a rebranding there. They had a lot of the way their crafting system worked in game. You would, I don't know, craft eggs, and you could use that for 90 energy or something. And they got bought out, and the new company wanted more microtransactions. So instead of you just find the chicken, cook the egg, now you can get the energy. Now it's you have to spend some currency to get it, and it gives you 40 energy. So it really reduced the mobility that the player had, and it really kind of forced you into more microtransactions that actually notably drove a lot of people away from the game, because that wasn't a on release thing. That was we decided a couple years after we released it, we're gonna shift the whole game to be microtransaction based. So if you got in before that, if not, tough shit.
Mm-hmm. That forces people to feel like it's a cash grab, so like they feel betrayed. They see the companies have to be careful with how they implement the shit, because if the player base feels like the devs are turning on them, like they're just trying to siphon money from them, they fucking leave quick.
Which getting back to EA's one of the few times that it's gone so horribly wrong that it actually got mainstream like news attention and legal attention for pretty much the entire Western world was Battlefront 2. Of course, you're also playing with what was now a Disney property, so it's like you have Star Wars, and then people like the Battlefront games. Battlefront 2015 did okay, but people loved the original games. And then they had the loot box system, which actually was gameplay impacting because you got the cards that gave you basically passives and active abilities. It's like it impacted gameplay, it impacted how you could build your class.
Oh, absolutely. In Battlefront 2, the original Battlefront 2, there wasn't any kind of microtransaction things. There were upgrades you could get. They weren't transferable, but you generally had to do some kind of achievements or a series of specific things, like get so many headshots with this type of gun on this map or something, and then you can unlock this upgrade. And that was ways to enhance your build before. But yeah, on the re-release of EA's Battlefront 2, it was really disappointing. They massacred my boy. They took all of these builds that you could play and upgrade, and they put them all behind a paywall. Most of your character was you just kind of picked your base class and you're running around with like the default gun, the default whatever. How do you get the better gun? How do you get a run faster upgrade, make your sprint take less energy? Well, you had to get the card for it, and they had no way to directly get the card. You had to play their gacha system to unlock it. And it was at early estimates on upon release, it was around $4,000 or $5,000 to actually get most unlocks for in-game, and this was a $60 game.
Yay! A sense of pride and accomplishment.
When did that game come out originally? It was like in
2017.
the late 2000s.
Yep, it's 2017.
Do you mean the PlayStation release or the EA release?
The first one, and then subsequently they re-released it when?
Well, it was a new game. It wasn't necessarily a re-release, but it was using the same title.
Yeah.
But it was a reboot
and
of the franchise.
And then that's when they tried to monetize it, because there was no monetization in the original.
The original two from the early 2000s were pre-games as a service. They had no monetization at all other than buying the game. I don't think they even had expansions that I remember. I played a lot of the original Battlefront 2.
And that's preceding like TF2?
It was 2005 was the original release for the PlayStation 2 Battlefront 2, and 2017 was the EA re-release.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a really old game. Oh, okay. So it was perceived by the gaming community as a cash grab when it came out, right?
It was big.
Yeah, because everyone loved Battlefront. Like, I'm gonna be real, I missed the boat on Battlefront. I played, I think, in 2005, I was around 15, 16. So I was a teenager. I think I played the game like at my friend's house, like on his Xbox or something, like, but I didn't own it. And so like the hype of the game is sort of lost on me. Like, I knew that it was a good game and fun to play, but like I knew it in the context of like split screen playing it with my friend or whatever, you know what I mean? Like not Xbox Live playing it with other people. And so when it came out, I knew it was a fun game. I had a little bit of interest in it, but then the second that I heard like negative things about it, it was kind of one of those things where like I was like, okay, I don't have any type of nostalgia with this game, so I'm not even gonna like delve into it. So once I heard negative things about it, I just kind of dismissed it. So I don't even know I didn't realize that it was because of the monetization of the progression in the game.
Honestly, as a diehard fan of the original Battlefront 2, I really wanted to like the second one, and I couldn't even get far enough for the microtransactions to be a problem for me, because they spent so much of their development time perfecting their cash shop that the game itself was a hot, buggy mess. I swear every week I went to play it, I had to re-download the entire 80 gigabytes of it just to replay, because there was like a tiny update and then the update would bug, so you'd have to uninstall and reinstall the whole thing. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not that patient.
Whoa. Okay, so that's a whole other issue, but like that's actually pretty out of pocket.
Battlefront 2 has
Oof.
so much you can mine out of it for content because it was already a double whammy for EA coming off of Battlefront 2015, which was like a fun game, but broken up into it had the season pass, like the DLC stuff, like the Battlefield games. And it was only original trilogy era, which I think gave complaints because, like the old Battlefront games, like you had Clone Wars stuff and you had original trilogy. It was like a lot of content. Battlefront 2015 was kind of content light. And then Battlefront 2 was trying to fix that with like, here's sequel trilogy, original era, and the Clone Wars era stuff. And then they had the loot box stuff so aggressively put into it. Like the game under it could have been good, and it did turn out good by the end, but like the damage was done at the start. The loot boxes, like that whole paywall system, didn't make it into the actual game for launch because the blow up was so big pre-launch that they took it out before the game actually launched. But people were still thinking about that because even if it didn't make it into the actual game, it ruined everybody's taste. Plus you have at the time, the most downvoted Reddit comment of all time at that time was from a DICE community manager about basically defending the loot boxes, saying they give you a sense of pride and accomplishment for earning the stuff,
Get
earning the
fuck
heroes.
out.
That's where that meme sense of pride and accomplishment comes from. It was like hundreds of thousands of downvotes. Like people lost their shit. This whole Battlefront thing ended up in the news. It ended up affecting law. It ended up in investigations by European and American countries. Like this was like EA corpoed so hard that the entire Western world took notice. Like I think normal people probably don't generally care about the dumb shit us gamers are doing, but that was like, plus it's Star Wars, so it's even double bad. So like Disney's probably like, what the fuck you guys doing over there? You guys got this exclusive license for us, and all of China knows you're here now. Like, what the fuck did you do?
That's true. I mean, but they're just following suit with fucking up everything that is Star Wars nowadays. I don't know. That's a whole other topic that we can get into, but
yeah, where it starts to overlap into legal, there's a lot of Belgium that Belgium was one of the earlier countries to start classifying those kind of loot boxes as gambling. But not just for that, because there were a lot of, like you said, it's really easy to kind of forget what gamers are doing, but there's other games that have started to impact in other ways. Both the CrowdStrike loot boxes, where you could trade those for real world money. So in one sense, you're gambling for something that could be real money. And then the drops ended up being used pretty regularly for money laundering as well. So you have money laundering, you have gambling. And then, especially when microtransactions came bigger on the mobile devices, this was a really big sticking point in the UK and China as well. But mommy and daddy have their credit cards saved on the iPad or whatever. Little Billy comes and plays, and he sees, oh, look, I can buy more gems. Buy. Mommy and daddy get a $6,000 credit card bill. What the? And then from that perspective, they're like, do we have to give them a refund? I mean, the check cleared already. Yeah, so these drove a lot of lawsuits.
Not incentivized for it.
That's right. And it's not like that's exactly it. Yes, they made money, but that's not exactly a great advertisement for their products. But that did drive a lot more regulation in viewing it as gambling.
Okay, so then what did they do in Belgium to counteract all that?
They made them register with the Gambling Commission. So that included things like you can't market gambling towards children. You have to be a certain age for these types of things. And in response to a lot of that, some games just said, well, we're just not going to do these mechanics in Belgium. Battlefront 2 specifically was one. They
had to code a specific thing for the game to Belgium gamer? Like, I don't know. How
they just neutered it. For Battlefront 2 specifically, they just removed loot boxes. They didn't replace it with anything. They just removed the loot boxes. Disabled the feature. But how did they know that
they were Belgium, though? Like, Belgium IPs just didn't get loot boxes? Okay.
Yeah,
Huh.
IP block, so you could just get a VPN and bypass it. But then you'd have that's a lot more steps, and versus just buy a game and play it. That does stop a lot of people.
Well, yeah, because I mean, chances are a kid isn't probably going to know, depending on
Right.
how old they are, how to set up a VPN or even have access to one to do that. So, but that's like that was the pioneering legislation, right? For
And the
different
taxing is quite
countries
a bit
to.
different too. Like if you're depending on how you're registered, you would be taxed, but gambling companies are usually taxed quite a bit higher on those transactions. So they were
Hmm.
essentially gambling, but avoiding the gambling laws and fees.
And there's probably not much regulation either, because I know in the States, and this isn't video games, but like, online poker, that's a form of video game gambling. There's not many states that allow you to gamble online, like as if you're at a casino. They're like, there's New Jersey, there's Pennsylvania, I know, and a few others. It's like 5 or 6 of the 50 states that exist that allow you to like gamble, but that's because the state regulates how you can gamble. And like if it's a slot machine type of thing, like in versus a like a poker game, like poker game requires a little bit of skill. It's a game that requires a little bit of knowledge. Like you need to know the the probability of like certain hands being better than others in order to be good at it. But like a slot machine type of thing in those states is regulated to like a 90 or like 92% chance of you getting your money back. And so like the casino is like making, for every $100 that you're putting into the game, they're making like $8 per hour or something like that. And that's regulated by the state. So like if you're in a state that lets you gamble online, you have to be able to win a certain amount of the time. But if you're in a state that doesn't regulate anything, or a country that doesn't regulate anything, then God knows what the fuck the game developers giving you as a probability for you to win. They could be at 95% chance that you're going to lose.
And that was some of what the legislation said. I know that was big in the Chinese legislation, is they drove a lot more transparency on that topic in terms of forcing publishers to publish the drop chances
Mhm.
and make that more available so you can have more informed choices when you make these. Additionally, they also had a few regulations that you also had to be able to purchase it somehow another way, even if it was more expensive, but it wasn't a random roll.
Okay. Wait, and you're talking about just the Belgium law?
That
Or
was the Chinese regulation, but I believe the transparency in percentages was also within the scope of the Belgian regulation.
okay. Well, I mean, the Chinese, they did a lot of things to try to like stymie the way that games could make money off of the people that were playing them. They even put laws in where like there was like sort of like a gaming curfew so that people couldn't play games for too fucking long because they were like getting addicted to gaming.
Damn, I wish I had that problem. I wish I could play video games too long. I don't have the time to do anything other than stare at the wall when I get home from work.
Yeah, straight up. And sometimes you're too tired to even do that, right?
Regulate me harder, government. Actually, the national law thing is interesting too, because a lot of, like in America, a lot of, even the Battlefront 2 thing, a lot of it gets away with how gambling is defined as well. A lot of the laws, especially for the US, didn't pass anything on loot boxes really because you couldn't get money back out of them. Like you're only getting a digital product. Even if it was RNG, legally a lot of the time it doesn't count officially as gambling. Yes, we titled the podcast episode Gambling in Video Games, but from a legal standpoint, a lot of the times this isn't gambling, it's just RNG that you pay for. You can't win, money back out of it. Maybe it gets a little more gray if you can sell it like TF2 or Counter Strike, but it's all sunk cost fallacy. You can't even be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make my debts back with this. No, you can only get thigh gap. That's the best you're getting out of that.
Yeah. because they're circumventing it by like what? By making the purchase the in-game currency versus the loot box that you can then get the skin from and then sell for a real money transaction that you can pull out and put into your actual bank account, right?
Yeah, there's an argument to be made that maybe digital goods could have a value sometimes, but what you're getting from quote gambling is digital goods. You're not getting money back out of it. Like the reason you go to a casino, usually you might enjoy blackjack or poker, but a lot of times you're going to the casinos so that, oh, you might get money back. And those like you're bringing up with poker and blackjack and so on, those games do have ways to impact the probability semi-directly. Like if you know card counting or you're good at those games, there is meta strategies that make your probability higher, whereas in video games you don't usually have a way to directly impact the probability except for gamble more times. You have like pity and stuff, you can kind of strategize around it, but like it's a defined system.
Oh, that's true, because gacha games have pity mechanics now, right?
Yep, though they didn't always.
Depending on the game. But that is becoming more popular as a way to be compliant with a lot of legislation, or at least to view being more compliant is, well, hey, it's not completely random. There, you get a gimme after so long.
Yeah,
guarantee,
you pull 50
if you will.
times, you're guaranteed to get this like 5-star, whatever the hell.
I wish pity was as low as 50 ever. That'd be crazy. Are you wild? 50 pity? Holy shit. Bro, look at this sweet summer child.
Delta Force. Oh man, Arknights is way worse, huh?
Yeah, Arknights has like actually they have a few pity systems in that. I think you still have probably, well, I guess it's not 50-50 because you have multiple characters in it. You have like hard pity at 300 pulls, which is a number that's going to appear later in the episode.
300 is hot. That's aggressive, sir.
I got Texas Alter at 290, which is pretty much the worst case scenario. It's not even hard pity at that point. It's like I might as well just roll to hard pity to get another character to pick.
For real.
Yes, everybody. I virtually hard pitied my way to Texas Alter for the 3 Arknights players in the future that are in the audience. Respect. You get it though. You understand why. You people out there understand why you do that for Texas Alter.
They're gaming us up. They're hacking our brains, making us roll for waifus in these games. It's not fair.
Waifus for laifus. Back to the legislation thing, though, it seems like even though a lot of investigations and they tried to pass legislation in America, different states and stuff for it, it didn't really end up passing anything except for like some European countries. Like you have Belgium, I think there's maybe Sweden in there, Netherlands. Like they actually got somewhere with it. Here, sometimes they started a legislation, but it didn't get anywhere because of those definitions. The biggest impact was more the PR side than like an actual legal victory as far as I saw. It was more that it just pissed everybody off to the point of probably becoming unprofitable to do it too hard. It's like, okay, we can't corpo that hard. EA found the boundary. They found the edge of the map for how hard you can corpo. Like, okay, we're just draw it back a bit. We can still corpo. It's just not that hard.
Well, there was one example of U.S. legislation on that topic, but I mean, it was definitely a gacha game, Genshin Impact, a common name on that one. But there was a FTC case where they settled for $20 million fine, and it was regarding gambling, but most of the charges ended up being because they were collecting data. Sure, they were like marketing gaming to children, but they were collecting the data after you were selling the gambling to children. So more of the fines were because it was you're stealing children's data, and there are laws against selling and marketing to children and collecting data for that. And the charge was more of like unregistered gambling, and like your children aren't, in many states they have to be a certain age to gamble, and by definition children are not.
Man, that's crazy, because God knows how much these game devs are data mining while we're playing the games. Like, oof. I wonder how much money they're getting from the data mining alone, like not even the loot boxes and the gambling mechanics that they're putting in. Because at this point, I don't know how long ago this was because it wasn't recent. I was reading an article about how game development companies were like hiring neurologists to understand how the brain works and how dopamine levels are fluctuated during like these risk and reward scenarios that are in games, and this is how like you get addicted to gambling and you get more susceptible to gambling mechanics, and then how that could translate to them making profits in the game. And that's led to like this understanding by game developers that game developers have basically, because of all of the research that they've done, have put different types of gamers into different categories. Like, and there's four main ones. There's the people that are playing the game that are competitive. Then there's the people that are playing the game that are socializers, that they're just trying to play the game to have fun and play with their friends. And then there's like explorers that are just trying to play the game and, you know, have fun within like exploring the game and what the game has to offer. And then there's achievement hunters, and they they make these cash shops in a way where they can offer different products to different types of gamer, and it incentivizes the game developers to make the game in a way so that it's not catering to like skill-based gameplay. Because if it's only skill-based, then like a lot of players like me, for instance, I will not play a game that has pay to win aspects in it. Like, I used to play a lot of Warzone. I used to play Warzone like as my main game. But this, like, I started to set, and I don't know if this is confirmed or not. So this is with a grain of salt that you guys got to take this. But like,
Get
they
down,
sell
Mr.
skins in
President.
Call of Duty.
Speculation inbound.
So yeah, so this is a hot take, but I am like 80% sure, bro. They sell skins in Call of Duty, and it's like on a recurring cycle where like every few weeks they change to a different to a different skin. And I felt, and there's custom, like the mods that you put on the guns, you can customize them with different
Pro-tuned
calibration
weapons.
And yes, that's what I'm getting at. So the ones that you could buy were pro-tuned by the game developers, pre-purchase. Like, so you get a custom skin and it has a certain amount of like mods, like this set of mods, and they're custom tuned, pre-purchase. Like, as you purchase them, you get that, and then you can apply that onto your loadout. And I swear, because I got one. I think when you buy the season pass, you get the currency, the in-game currency. And so like I bought one of the packs that had a skin that I liked. And I could feel it, bro, while I was playing the game, that I had like my bullets were like getting the other person, like it was fucking getting them before they could kill me. And I felt like an imbalance, like the game was like helping me win. And the second I started sensing it too much, it completely turned me off to playing the game. So like I play a game because I want to be like the best at it. And like I thrive off of the competitiveness. But if I feel like the game is either blocking me from beating the other person, or it's helping me in any way that's makes the thing unfair, like the competitiveness unfair, I don't like it. It completely turns me off to the game, and I don't want to play it no more. And so like I think I fall into that category of gamer. But like there's the other three that I mentioned. And so like they know this because they've put money into researching it. And at this point, it just feels like every game that comes out is they're catering to this type of thing. Like they're trying to make money on the back end. Like they want to charge you 50, 60, 70. At this point, Monster Hunter just came out, $69.99. Like I haven't even played the game. I haven't researched anything about it, but I guarantee there's a fucking skin shop in that game. Somehow there is something in there that is monetized that you can purchase. after the fact, after the $70 that you've already invested in playing the game. And they're probably going to continue updating that to try to keep milking the money. And it's like every game model's doing this now. They know how to like game our brains into like wanting to pay them more money for shit that we shouldn't be paying for.
The most complex things aren't necessarily complicated. Sex sells. How many of these gacha games have big titty girls all over the front in their like bikini armor?
Every single one
because,
of them.
Yeah, like that.
Listen.
And if they have regular updates, like they're catering to an audience.
The entire reason I played Honkai Star Rail was because of Kafka, okay? And I stopped playing once I got Kafka. And I'm sure some of you out there also were the same. You heard that Kafka voice and you saw that red hair, magenta hair in the trailer. And yeah, oh, this story looks good. This looks fire. I mean, it was a good game, but I played it because of Kafka.
The
like,
gameplay wasn't
Mihoyo,
after, it was a side.
Yeah, I was like, Mihoyo, I'm not super interested in another Mihoyo game. And then Kafka spoke up. I was like, okay, maybe I am now. Hear me out. That trailer music was pretty good, but that voice was even better.
That's definitely helped them expand their market, not just from like a lot of the more clever in-game mechanics and how can I set up my Skinner box to make you want that next piece of cheese, but in the visuals as well. It's gotten very aggressive in a lot of the marketing. It's tricky nowadays to sort through that just because so much of the data collection, they are able to do a lot more kind of targeting for that target consumer, even to the point that you were mentioning there's different demographics within the gamers, within their specific game. Which ones do we want to cater to? Toss this one out for the whales, but you don't want to give too much, otherwise the skill-based players you'll drive them away.
And you know, it's kind of crept up too, because like, I don't know, I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel, and this is something that kind of surprises me a little bit, but it almost feels like there's a console market, right? And I feel like that's more of a younger demographic. And then there's a PC player market that maybe is more adultish. But then there's the mobile market, bro. And the mobile market probably, and I don't know any percentages or anything, but if I had to guess and stake my life on it, I bet you that the majority of people that are playing games are on a mobile market because everyone has a phone. Like they're targeting everyone through the mobile games, and that's where you find the majority of these little microtransaction systems, like buy for $4.99 or $3.99, like 1,000 gems or 1,000 gold coins, so that you can play this game or that game, and you can get more pulls or whatever the hell the game mechanic is. Because it all started with these simple games. Like, I know TF2 we mentioned was like one of the biggest, most successful things, but I feel like, just objectively thinking about it, that like there were games before that let you play and donate a little bit of money for like some kind of advantage. Like you could play longer, or like it was like an energy based system, like what I was talking about. Like I used to play this game called Mobsters on Facebook, and you had like, you could increase it as you leveled up, but like you had a certain amount of energy, and that energy was used up to do certain things in the game. And then once you had zero, you had to wait. You had to log off and stop playing it, and then that was it. But like you could infuse your energy and recharge it if you paid them like $2. And like, so that was early bullshit microtransaction mechanic that they introduced into games. And I think like a lot of that started with, or at the very least progressed deep into the industry through mobile games.
Actually, it's funny you bring that up, because I think this is a good time to transition to the gacha side, because we've already talked about a little bit, but yeah, absolutely very mobile centric. And actually it looks like it is the majority of video game players globally actually are on mobile, especially for other cultures. And like in Japan, you had you had kind of multiple eras of this. You had I didn't even know about this, even as much of a gacha simp as I am. They had a thing called complete gacha, which was basically mobile games where you rolled for parts of a set, like not a full character or not a full item. You rolled for parts of it. Most of the parts were common and easy to get, but some of them would be really rare, and so you'd have most of the set. You'd have like 4 out of 5 pieces, and that would make you want to roll more to complete the set. And that actually turned into a thing where it was regulated by the industry itself, because like a journalist called that out, and that turned into a whole scandal, because this actually Konami caused this. It was a game called Dragon Collection. It was 2010. And so like 2 years this genre became really big for mobile until it got like really big attention, because again it was kind of like the gambling to kids things, and so it started to be regulated as if it was a trading card game. But then like fast forward, actually that same year 2012, that's kind of when you started to have what we think of modern gacha. You had Puzzle and Dragons, which I actually played that way back, like probably around there, like 2012, 2013 or something. And it was basically if you combined like a Bejeweled style game, one of those gem match games, with some RPG aspects and Pokemon aspects, but the Pokemon kind of the dragons, those were gacha. So it was made by 6 people, but at its peak, it was making $2.5 million a day on that game. And so that obviously had a lot of games like that started sprawling out. We think of mobile games for a long time as being cash grabs. I feel like mobile games, a lot of the times, the stuff you'd see on the App Store, Play Store was just absolute pay to win garbage, even outside of gachas, even, Western games. And so you kept having like these different things, and that you have after you had Grand Blue Fantasy, which before we started this podcast episode, Ross was talking about Final Fantasy VII, and 2 of the people that worked on that, I think it was maybe the character artist and the composer, worked together on Grand Blue Fantasy. Grand Blue Fantasy actually did lead to regulation, because it was basically they had a gotcha system, and I don't think it had any pity system for a long time. Like no pity, 0 pity. It had like you had the rate up mechanics like banners that you have now, but it got the attention of everyone over there when they had basically these they released these characters on a banner for like the 12 zodiac animals. So they released one as the Year of the Monkey, and they had a rate up banner that had 3 characters on it, one of them being that zodiac character. Now if you have 3 characters on a rate up, what is your assumption about that? You're going to assume they're all the same rate, right? You're going to assume all of them have the same rate up being that it's a higher probability that you get those specific ones. So they didn't technically lie here. The characters did all have a rate up, but the Zodiac one that everybody wanted was mathed out to be a significantly lower rate than the other ones. So it was like kind of a lie by omission. They didn't actually lie. It was technically a rate up, but it was different from the other 2. Yeah.
Well, another angle of that, the year of the, and then releasing that's another type of gacha mechanic that is more incorporated in more modern ones, but the limited time gacha, it preys on the fear of missing out.
FOMO.
Oh yeah, that FOMO, baby.
Gachas are all FOMO. It's all about the banners and saving up for specific banners, and the games have stories or stuff that introduce characters that like, oh, this character's definitely gonna be on the banner later. I'm saving up for that one. Yeah, there was a streamer that spent $6,000 USD equivalent to get this character. So they call it Monkey Gate is the name for this scandal. Trying to get Andira. And so that even led to the Japan Online Games Association to take notice, and that's Cygames, which actually the first probably real gacha game I ever played was made by them and Nintendo, which was Dragalia Lost, which shut down. Sads. That game was actually pretty good. It was pretty generous, probably because of the Nintendo part, not because of the Cygames part. But Cygames introduced pity at 300. At 300 rolls, you get to guaranteed select the character. Remember, I said that number was going to appear again. That 300 hard pity appears in lots of gacha games now.
300.
On top of usually you have the 50 soft pity that appears at like 80 to 90 rolls depending on game, where you have a half chance to get the banner character and a half chance to not get the banner character.
That's a lot of fucking rolling. Like, depending on how much each roll was, like if it's $1 a roll, like that's fucking insane, dude, to me. Like, I don't care.
I feel like usually the gachas are a lot higher than $1 a roll. I feel like they're like, I'd have to figure this out. They're at least a couple bucks a roll, if not more.
It varies on the game site.
And then that gets kind of abstract too, because you have games where getting more pulls, aside from the probability of the characters and pity systems, getting more or less pulls is harder too through gameplay. Like some of them you might get a lot of currency, but the rates are lower or they're better. Or some games might have really good probability for the banners, but you don't earn as many pulls through the game.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that also kind of reminds me. The pull price is one thing, but another thing that these games kind of do is they try to like obscure what you're getting with the money that you put into the game, like a lot of the time. Like, and one of the biggest examples that I can think of, and it's not from personal, so like I'm remembering this. I have a friend that plays Genshin Impact, and he was telling me that like you put money into that to get like some star thing, and then you use those stars to get another in-game currency, and then you use that to get a different one, and each currency is used for a different thing in the game. So like by the time that you're using these different currencies, you have no fucking clue how much money you've put into this fucking game to get these currencies. So like it's almost like you forget. Like the game
part of the psychology.
knows how to confuse you.
Yeah,
like,
it's gotta
you don't have any fucking clue like how much money you've put into this game to get the items that you've been wanting to get.
It has to exceed your brain RAM, so you can't do the math anymore.
Another way they do that is just selling their in-game currency in goofy increments. Like maybe a skin costs 680 of the currency. Okay, so you buy $10 for 800 of the currency. Okay, well now I have 120 left over. What do I do with that? There's nothing you can do with that. You buy another 800 and then you have 240 left over. Still nothing you can do with that.
Mm-hmm. Like the mandatory minimums are like 300 or something. Like it forces you to continue to make another purchase because you know like you're almost there. You have almost enough to make that next purchase.
Sunk cost fallacy. Well, do I want to just leave this other currency here wasted?
Yeah, and it leads to that. Yeah, and see, and this is what I was talking about before, where these game devs are hiring neurologists to teach them how the fucking brain works, dude. Like they know how to take advantage of us. They know that we're already chasing a dopamine high, and they know how to make us want to get like spend that extra $2-3 to get that next high that we want.
Adding in some social features like in some tactics gotchas, where you're maybe fighting player versus player, they're often asynchronous. So you're not actually playing against the player live, but you're playing against maybe their team or their base that's set up for the defense at the time. But that is still a way to give a player versus player and incorporate some social features. That can help make some more leaderboards and help cater to that competitive gamer who might not just be chasing the cosmetics. It gives them an outlet to compete and be better.
I play AFK Journey, which has that asynchronous PvP with the leaderboards. Like you build up your team, like, oh, I outpower level this guy. This is gonna go easy, baby.
Yeah, chasing that high score, baby.
Plus, you don't have to have matchmaking queues. It's like the best of all worlds for the game dev. You don't have to make actual matchmaking, really.
It's true. That's true. That's true. That's like
You brought up a good.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. My point's
No,
gonna be
no.
lengthy. Go ahead. It's
I
gonna
want
be
I want to
girthy.
hear
Go
what.
ahead.
Nah, mine's not gonna be girthy. Go ahead. I want to hear what you were gonna say.
I was gonna bring up your point about mobile games basically being the avenue to reintroduce these mechanics, because Western games, they already ran into the cap. EA already, basically took a video game and introduced more monetization to it and hit a ceiling with that. Mobile games kind of went the other direction. A lot of the games were pretty much just about the collection aspect and were arguably even a game in the first place. They were about the monetization and happened to have some interactive elements, right? But over time, that's changed. In Genshin, it would be hard to talk, as much as I like to shit on Genshin, it would be hard to talk about modern gacha without Genshin and mobile games, because it jumped a lot of culture barriers, probably helped by COVID and things like that too. But it's a mobile game, it's a PC game, it's, I think, a now console game. And I mean, as far as mobile games go, it's pretty impressive. It's a full open world RPG. Like, it is a full game. It's basically Breath of the Waifu. Like, when it launched, it was very much Breath of the Wild like and was considered a clone for it, but it became its own thing. And that opened the gate for a lot, that like entire industry to especially become mainstream. Because I mean, gotchas existed in the West. You had, again, Dragalia Lost, or like Fate Grand Order, or you had played Grand Blue Fantasy, right? Those games were around in the West on the mobile stores, but they're more niche. They're for people that specifically play mobile games, and probably, like, if you're playing Fate, you like depression and reading light novels or visual novels anyways. So, like, it's not going to appeal to everybody, but pretty much everybody knows about Genshin. Like, I have a lot of friends who play Genshin that are otherwise normal people. And so that's opened
X'd it
a
out.
whole, it flanked around whatever EA was trying to do, and Ubisoft and other big devs. It flanked all the way around that. It entered the industry from an entirely different angle, and that worked out. You have, you got stuff like Genshin, you've got Arknights, you've got Honkai Star Rail from MiHoYo. They've turned into this massive enterprise that makes hundreds of millions a month or on a single banner. Girls Frontline, that's had multiple games. I sent for Arknights. That's getting Enfield. Like, these are actual legitimate games with good stories and character and game design and budgets and big cutscenes. And sometimes they sprawl into other media. They have soundtracks and they have their own anime adaptations and stuff like that. They've turned into actual IPs, like actual media franchises, but coming from an entirely different angle of basically how we were trying to accomplish this in the West. They are making a good product that also makes them a shit ton of money. Like, the product sells the waifus, and yeah, it's probably pretty easy to prey on lonely gamers too. Be like, hey, Kafka, I mean, it works on me. Kafka, Texas Alter, sure. Shorekeeper, sure. I'll roll for Shorekeeper.
Yeah,
I mean, not just that. More in the cash grab side of things, that's more flavor of the month. In a lot of ways, there's like the generic gacha that's kind of bread and butter. They don't need to reinvent the wheel to a certain extent. So why would you buy this gacha instead of that one? It's not rare to see popular animes, TV shows, just reskinned. Dragon Ball Z, the gacha. And people that are big fans of Dragon Ball Z, they'll probably play it. And they can kind of get extra cash out of these different fan bases by essentially making gachas for them and not really going too unique and reinventing any mechanics.
That's true. Just today, I was like checking out Solo Leveling Arise, the game, and it doesn't even look good, bro. Like that, but I'm not saying the anime is brand new, but like it's not very old either. So like it's kind of crazy that they've already got a game and it's on Steam. You can buy the shit from fucking Steam like already. And it's
That's
been out
exactly
for
the
a
one I was
little
looking
bit.
at.
I
It's
think that came
crazy.
out
Like
pre the anime, right?
they come out quick, dude. They're monetizing anything they can monetize that they think people are gonna buy.
I just want to go back to that the mobile games kind of breaching into the mainstream in that they had a best mobile game category for the 2024 Game Awards. 4 out of 5 of those games were gachas. Well, one was the Pokemon trading card game, basically a gacha. All 4 of them lost to Balatro, which is the only one there that's not a gacha. My favorite girl, Wuthering Waves, was on there though against Endless Zone Zero, but they lost to Balatro. They lost to Roguelike Poker. It's well, you know what? I
Roguelike
mean,
post.
it's still gambling related though. It came full. It's still kind of gambling related. There's no escape. I just wanted to bring up a point too about gotchas that I feel like Western game devs, at least the big publishers, have missed in that they're trying to incorporate the monetization into games without necessarily integrating them in a graceful way. Like the Battlefront 2 thing is a good example. The gacha games, at least the high budget, like Genshins and Wuthering Waveses and Star Rails and so on, the whole game sells you on that aspect. It has, high budget stories and animations that lead up to you liking a character, and then that character appears in the banner. Like, it is a good game on its own without the gacha aspect, but that good game part is what makes you want the things that are in the gacha. You don't necessarily have to have them to succeed in the game. Most of them are PvE and single player focused, but you're gonna want those things. You're gonna want the waifu. You're gonna want the Kafka. You're either gonna grind and free to play your way up to saving for that thing for a chance of getting it unless you roll the hard pity, or you're gonna get that battle pass to get more pulls. You might get some of the dolphin bundles where it's like, oh, here's a $2.99 starter pack. Or if you're going all the way, you're gonna roll for dupes and whale into getting the 6 duplicates of a character. But it's integrated very much into the game. Like the game is still actually a good product, but that good product sells the monetization, which is the part that we have a disjoint on with like the Western games. We're ham-fisting it where it's like, if you want to be successful at all in this game, the game's only good if you buy this. So you're not really incentivized to want to like the game unless you're already paying for it. Like, unless you're already desensitized enough to be like, yeah, I'll gamble for this and that will make the game fun. Instead, the game being fun is the slippery slope that makes you want that thigh gap.
And to me, I don't know, man. When I play games, I'm going into it already wary nowadays of that type of thing in it. So, like, if
Checking the
I start to
corners.
get the sense, like, that there is something in the game that's going to cause some kind of imbalance in skill level, like, someone is going to have some kind of unfair advantage over me if I don't want to give the money to the game. I, like, I'll play the game for like 5-10 minutes, figure that out. I have zero qualms about like dropping that game. And like maybe the game's not catered to uh, the type of gamer that I am, but like it's indicative that the game devs are now hiring these neurologists and these like people that like these psychiatrists and psychologists that already understand how the human brain functions, how it works when it's getting risk reward and like these dopamine hits and how to like cause and manipulate its player base, that it causes this mistrust in me to be wary of that going into it. And like if I'm paying $60-$70 a game, I don't want to fucking have to deal with bullshit in the fucking game in a fucking cash shop that's causing me to pay for some bullshit fucking weapon or some character that I need to fucking pay for. I'm not wasting my fucking time, dude. I've already given that game enough fucking money. I know that it's expensive to develop good games. Like Baldur's Gate 3, for instance. It took like 10 years or something even more than that. I don't know, like to develop the game. It's an amazing game. There's no fucking cash shop in the game, bro. I paid, I think, $60 and that's it. They definitely made their fucking monies out of that fucking game.
So that's a great example because you're describing more hybridization of game design over time. Because what you're describing in Baldur's Gate 3 is a modern example of one of the rare modern examples. It's standalone. It's a game. Most of every gacha, and really what you're describing is a live service type model. So having some part where you're actively adding content over time, not necessarily typically gated by DLCs, but the game is not static, right? Like if you played your game on, rewind back in time, you're playing on N64, like you can't push a patch to that. It's timeless in a sense. The game is going to be the game in 5 years. It's not actively changing. Is this meta changing? Is there a new patch? Is there these new changes? That live service model sells more. But you can do it in all ways around that you can milk, and the other one of offloading your testing as well. You've noticed a probably larger amount of games nowadays that instead of releasing fully baked, not only are they half baked, but they'll also sell it to you for early access or whatever.
Yeah. Or alpha status like that. You're talking about alpha releases.
Pay us to test our game for us.
Isn't Star Citizen still in like a fucking alpha status, and it's been in that status for like something absurd like 8 years?
Star Citizen's managed to invent like its own style of monetization that nobody else has been able to follow. Like it's its own genre
they
of
really
money.
Have. They've made like a pretty incredible amount
I don't get
for
it, man.
not finishing the game. They just like, it's an incredible example of catering to whales and ignoring the actual game development just to cater to those whales.
I mean, to be fair, they do have impressive tech, but they also dick around with the impressive tech a lot. You probably don't need all of that impressive tech to just make a good game. It is cool, but it's not getting the game any closer to a finish line.
And that's some of what's challenged them, is they've kept upgrading their back end. Like Guild Wars 2 made the recent change to where they went from like DX9 to DX11, and that was a pretty big like code rework, but that was like years in the making kind of thing. That's one of the things that Star Citizen's like never really hitting that finish line, is because they're like always updating to whatever is new. Like you said, do they really need that latest tech, or could you just finish your game?
So remember, gamers, if you can't figure out what the product is in any online service, you are the product.
Yep.
All right, Ross, do you have any closing wisdom for us this week?
Like a unicorn, I'm off to spread magic elsewhere.
Wow. Thank you, everybody, once again for joining us for Unhinged and Unranked. Next week, we'll be back with game engines as voted on by our community. We'll cover everything from the generalized big game engines like Unreal versus Unity, open source stuff like Godot, and then the in-house engines like Gamebryo and DICE's Frostbite engine, and so on. And Star Citizen's engine, that could be interesting. Oh, they're selling an engine now.